It's getting close to Halloween, so let's talk about a scary movie that came out recently that you might have missed, and it's called Slice. What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Welcome to Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture show. And yes, we are talking about Slice today. It's a movie that we watched around our house in part of a Halloween movie marathon that we were doing. And it's this kind of very weird indie movie that came out earlier this year. And it's maybe most known for the fact that it stars Chance the Rapper. That's why it got headlines when it first came out. And I'm a huge Chance fan, both in his music and as a person. He's very cool, he's a very interesting character. Seems like a very kind, charitable person, so his kind of debut into the world of movies was very interesting for me to check out. Unfortunately, he's not in this movie all that much. It does that thing that movies do sometimes where they have a really big name star in their cast. They push that person as sort of the main person in the movie, despite the fact that maybe he's not in it a ton. He doesn't really show up in the movie for a while, and then when he does, he gets maybe one or two scenes that he gets to really pop and stand out and have a bunch of lines, and that's kind of it. He's really not the main feature attraction here. The real star of the film is Zazie Beetz, and she's as good as she ever is in this role. Really awesome as this pizza delivery woman who is on the hunt to kind of avenge her ex-boyfriend's murder. And that kind of gets us into the movie plot as a whole. And again, this movie is just amazingly bizarre all the way through. It's set in a world where when you die, you instantly come back as a ghost that's basically just you. You still have a body, you're still hanging out, you can still interact with living people. You just kind of look a little creepier, and you know, if you died by, you know, getting your throat slit, it looks like your throat's still slit. So it's very movie logic version of ghosts. And all these ghosts are hanging out in this town. They've all kind of segregated the ghosts off into Ghost Town. So all the ghosts live there. And it's this world that's kind of dealing with life where there are 40,000 ghosts that live off in Ghost Town and kind of what those interactions there are like. The film itself, the actual plot, revolves around the murder of these pizza delivery guys that are kind of happening. They're trying to track down who's causing all these murders. And there's also a werewolf that delivers Chinese food. So again, lots going on, a lot of really weird, crazy, bizarre things happening in this film. But it's really fun. The ghosts living off segregated in Ghost Town is obviously kind of a metaphor for, racial segregation and gentrification and all those sorts of things. It's a very obvious metaphor when you're watching the film, and they stick with that throughout the film, but it's not like so much that it detracts from the enjoyment of the film. It doesn't like hit you over the head with it in a not fun way. There's still a lot of fun to be had in this movie, despite the fact that they have some metaphors that they want to get across while they're telling their story. The movie really is kind of a blast throughout. Most of the joy in watching this film comes from trying to understand how this world actually works. Like, how do these two groups, the ghosts and non-ghosts, interact? What happens to the bodies when a ghost comes back? A person dies and then the ghost is there. What happens to the bodies? Do they come back instantly? Why is there suddenly a werewolf in this film? How does that play into the mythology of the entire world? How do the cops manage to police this world where you have werewolves who've lived for hundreds and hundreds of years, and you have dead people, and what's a murder look like when that person who gets murdered is just going to stand back up and come back to life? All these questions are really fun to ask as you're watching the movie, and they do a really good job of answering almost every one of those questions as you watch. The film is very, intentionally goofy and ridiculous, and they do a really good job of answering those questions by showing you the answers rather than telling you about the answers. Except for the movie opens with a monologue where they, in a very deadpan way, explain the nature of the world and that ghosts live in Ghost Town, and it's just how it's always been, which is a really fantastic setup and is this weird, bizarre, wacky thing. So again, like camp and 80s horror, you know, kind of turned up to 11 are all the themes of this film. It really will put a smile on your face the whole time if you're going in knowing that's what you're getting. You're not getting, you're not getting Citizen Kane, you're not getting some crazy amazing drama, and you're not even getting a real horror movie. You're getting this weird send-up for kind of 80s horror and just weirdness in general. Chance's part is very small in this film, but he does play a really cool character. He's one of the cooler characters in the movie. He never really gets fully fleshed out because of his lack of screen time, and that's maybe one of my biggest gripes about the film as a whole, that we don't get to explore that character. He's kind of the linchpin of everything, but as a fan, it would have been nice to know more because this character was kind of such a neat, interesting character. The only other gripe that I had with the film is that the ending is kind of lackluster. So you see where they're going with the ending, you see exactly kind of what they're building towards, and it's very strange that, you know, we have this weird progressive movie that's doing all these interesting, strange things, and then you get a pretty paint-by-numbers final encounter that doesn't really feel like the send-off that the movie truly deserves. It doesn't quite hit all the marks, and it's kind of just exactly what you're expecting when they start putting all of those pieces in line. Generally, though, what this movie lacks in a complex plot or a satisfying ending, it makes up for in just charm, just oozing out of this film. All the characters are truly, truly great, even the small little bit characters, like the photographer for the paper, or the cops. They all have a really unique, interesting personality and backstory to themselves that kind of gets peppered throughout. There's no one here that is just there to fill time on the screen. Everyone is awesome and interesting and cool, and everyone has a very unique vibe that fits in this movie incredibly well. This film was actually interestingly directed and written by first-timer Austin Vesely. Might not be pronouncing his name correctly. Previously, he's directed a couple of Chance the Rapper's music videos, and this is his first feature film. So if he can maintain this like super unique style and kind of very distinct voice for his work, I'm definitely on board for his next film. So if you're looking for an interesting, unique movie to watch to get you into the Halloween spirit, I would highly suggest Slice. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thanks very much for joining me to talk about Slice. It's a movie that, if you like weird movies, you need to check out. It is worth seeing. If you want to support Pretty Dece, you can do so. Visit prettydeceshow.com/listener support to find those details. Of course, you can listen to the audio podcast from your favorite podcast delivery platform, or watch the video version on YouTube, youtube.com/prettydece to find that. And of course, hit me up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @PrettyDeceShow.